For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. You got to remember, brothers, sisters, dealing with the brothers mainly because, we're the teachers, that we're about to enter into greatness, into glory.
Let my soul bless Yahweh, the great King. For Jerusalem be up with sapphires and emeralds and precious stones. Thy walls and towers and battlements with pure gold. And the streets of Jerusalem shall be paved with beryl and carbuncle and stones of Ophir. And all her streets shall say, Hallelujah. And they shall praise him, saying, Blessed be Yahweh, which have extolled it forever.
The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. And I will make the place of my feet glorious. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee. And all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings. And thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakwatash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim outside. And what we're gonna get into this morning, all right, what is afternoon, dealing with another lesson going into end time events, because one thing that this these pandemics and these lockdowns have shown is that the elites have control of the whole world. Okay. All these nations, all right, and their governments, okay, are pretty much subjugated unto the elites, okay? And that's why you see the World Economic Forum pushing for what? A global reset, a world economy, okay? The World Health Organization. It's all about this one world agenda. And one of the main things that they want to do is break down all these different currencies. Okay, get rid of all these different currencies and come out with one currency, which is digital. Okay, because the more digital Esau makes everything, the more complete control that they have from the top down. Okay, so what we're seeing is a deconstruction. If a brother can post that definition for me, deconstruction. Okay, we're seeing the deconstruction of this society in the attempt to build a new one. Okay, and it's going to be global. All right, and if a brother can post that, Second Ezra chapter 9 verses 1 through 4, we'll start there. All right, but I got a video I'm gonna queue up. Pretty good video. It touch on a lot of different points of things that's going on. It's pretty lengthy, so we're gonna ride it out. I'm gonna try to let um most of it play, and then I interject from time to time, but let me cue it up.
Over the past 5 years, I have taught people all over the world how to trade stock. I even taught this strategy to my son, who has convinced me to share it with the world.
All right, so let's get this from the brother. All right, but Yashala. It's the book of Second Ezra chapter 9 verse 1. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past which I have told thee before, okay, then shalt thou understand it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So what you're seeing is the Lord putting the spirit on particular men to watch for the times and the events, okay, and filter them through the scriptures, and link different things together, okay, to link different things together, all right, for the sake of painting a picture of prophecy, man. Okay, these current events is a gauge, of where we are at in prophecy, man. Okay, seeing the signs of these things, happening, okay, back to back, is letting us know where we are. The technology that they're coming up with, the infrastructure that he's, incorporating into society, which is, you got the digital currency, okay, which is going to be linked with the MOTB. We know that we're here, okay. When you read verse 3, it said, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and this is what we're seeing, and those EU nations, there's a lot of strikes going on in the EU. There's a lot of different little strikes, that's going on in these EU nations, man. A lot of people, all right, are being heavily infected by inflation. You see, right now, America is the least affected by inflation because it's the Federal Reserve currency. All right. And Esau Edom is gradually, um, bringing in, okay, the chaos, man. Okay. So I want to see if they got something on there. Let's see. Uproars of the people. Okay. And we'll just watch a few things. So let me go ahead and share this real quick. And we'll just watch a few things dealing with the uproars of the people. This is over here in the EU. Which I say they're getting hit, the hardest first. All right. Well, especially 10 horn nations, man. All right. So let's just, as you can look at it, It says cost of living. Okay, thousands march in London to protest rising bills. Let's see what they talking about.
Not deterred by an overcast London, thousands of people travelled across the country to be here.
I've travelled back from Plymouth.
I just travelled from Sheffield.
I've travelled up from Bromley. I come from Aberdeen, South Wales. It's about a 4-hour journey.
Protesting against the inaction they see in tackling the cost of living crisis. Crowds dotted with placards warning of soaring inflation and a squeeze on earnings. They marched down Whitehall with a brief pause outside Downing Street. Last month's package of support announced from the Chancellor estimated £21 billion. In this crowd, at odds with stagnant wages for public sector workers.
I'm a nurse in the health service. Colleagues are leaving because they can't afford to work. The bills are going up, having to pay for parking in hospitals again. And our pay is just not enough. We had a real feeling that after the pandemic things were going to get better, that we were going to recognise we were going to get paid properly. And it's just really taking the soul out of everyone. That actually that's not going to happen and we're going to get told, yet again, pay rises for us but not for public sector workers.
That discontent may linger. 3 24-hour nationwide train strikes start Tuesday and will disrupt travel, Network Rail says, for the entire week.
The strike for next week could be averted. The government are clearly trying to push them into this industrial action.
Keir Starmer today wouldn't support the rail strike. You said that you support the strike. Why do you think he can't say those words?
Well, I don't think it's about supporting strike action or not. I mean, people have the right to withdraw their labour. They have to go through a very, difficult balloting process. These are ordinary workers that have kept the country going. And I think it's time now for the government to stop grandstanding and trying to pitch the public against these workers that looked after us.
But the cost to bring wages in line with inflation, economists predict a figure north of £20 billion.
Well, most people are seeing pay cuts this year because inflation at 9% and heading towards 11% is going up more than earnings are going up. And I'm afraid this is where I agree with the Chancellor. We can't all be protected from that. We are poorer than we expect to be. We are an importer of energy and energy prices have gone through the roof. That makes us poorer.
But perhaps
through. Okay, and you see that nigga head. Okay. Now, I guess there's a thing in Europe because that nigga Boris Johnson, he'd be all over the goddamn place, man. Once you see this nigga head, Esau ain't got it, man. All right, but you see uproars of the people. Okay, people are beginning to suffer. Now, this was just from 4 hours ago. Okay, I'll play this one. 70,000 people protest against government. The protests are getting bigger.
Watch this. I can show you how to get the sweetest deals online when you shop from major retailers like Amazon and Target. You can drop prices automatically.
Around 70,000 people took to the streets in Prague to protest against the Czech government. They expressed displeasure that the government was paying more attention to war-torn Ukraine as opposed to its own citizens. The protest was dubbed Czech Republic in the first place. Protesters highlighted issues being faced by the country. Czech Republic is going through their worst cost of living crisis in 3 decades. They recorded their highest inflation of 17.5% since 1993 in July. The inflation has been worsened by the rise in energy prices, the cost of COVID-19 vaccinations, and the influx of immigrants. Protesters demanded the centre-right government of Petr Fiala to resign. Fiala had taken office in December of 2021. Protesters also voiced opposition to the European Union and NATO. Some protesters even expressed the desire to exit the two groups. The Czech Republic has received around 400,000 refugees from Ukraine since Russia's invasion. They have also provided substantial military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Fiala has said that the rally was organized by pro-Russian people. He said that their interests conflicted with that of the Czech Republic. Protest in Prague was held a day after the government survived a no-confidence vote. The vote showed how Europe's energy crisis is fueling political instability. Energy prices are growing across Europe following the decrease in gas supplies from Russia, prompting rising energy prices across the continent. The UK, Czech Republic, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia are some of the worst hit countries by this energy crisis.
So as you can see, it's hitting those EU nations pretty hard. Okay, and what we're doing, we're just watching the build up to it, and it's going to make its way over here, man. Okay, because right now you have in America where people are still, eating, wings and pizza, okay, and screaming at the football game, man. So what we're finna see is a drastic change in people's day to day as these things make their way over here. All right, but it's a whole global economy, and with America being the strongest economy, okay, and the richest nation, it's going to affect them last, but the worst, and that's what we have to understand. So I got another, get that definition, then read this last verse, and then get that definition. Then we're gonna go into the main video. This the brother Bayan Yashala, 2nd Ezra 9:4 said, "Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." Okay, so what we're seeing is the prophecy, okay, unfold that Yahweh Shema Shah spoke of, through the scriptures, man. The vision that he gave our forefather, we're seeing these things come to pass now. Okay, we're seeing these things happen in real time. The things Yahweh spoke, okay, which he was speaking in the spirit of the Father, the Most High, okay. These things are happening in real time in our time. All right. So let's get this definition for deconstruction. All right. Now, deconstruction says it's from the brother GMS Pray Always Hope for Elect. It said deconstruction, the analytic examination of something, such as a theory, often in order to reveal is inadequate. And see what Esau is doing. He's trying to prove that, look, well, this current money system is inadequate. It's not sufficient. The reason why you have inflation because you have all these different currencies in the economic. Okay, the global economics is inadequate. It needs to be something better, and he's going to roll out. All right, the Karatma, man. And we already see the talks and the approval of CBDC, man, the central bank digital currency, man. Okay, so let's get this video here. So I'm gonna let a lot of it play. She's gonna go into, all right, they're gonna go into a few different topics, okay, of things that's going on around the globe, okay, and she's pretty much speaking of what, a global recession, okay.
No matter what goals you have, whether you're just listening to the
This week, the war in Ukraine completes 6 months. It's nowhere near an end. In the last few weeks and months, we've discussed the possibility of this war spilling over, of more countries joining. Tonight, we can tell you the devastation has spread way beyond Ukraine. Europe's economy has taken a serious hit. The euro has fallen to a 2-decade low. In the UK, inflation is soaring to a 5-decade high. The way things are going, a global recession may begin in Europe. Interestingly, in this gloomy surrounding, India is emerging as a bright spot. Growth forecasts are better than most major economies and inflation has already peaked, says the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India. Tonight we look at some data to understand how India is faring better and how this is a position it should build on, because the Indian economy is not out of the woods yet. In a globalized world, no economy can be insulated from the rest. But the right policy can ensure that India makes the most of the situation. Europe's cup of woes is spilling over. The economy is in a bad shape for weeks. We've been talking about an impending recession. Tonight we can tell you the Eurozone is sinking. The euro is Europe's de facto currency and it has dropped to a 2-decade low. European economies are in dire straits. The global recession we've all been worried about could begin in Europe. Tonight on Gravitas, we'll discuss how bad this could be. We start with the story of the euro. They say the strength of a currency reflects the might of a nation. But the euro is not just any other currency, it is the identity of a united Europe. Europe has 27 countries, 19 of them use the euro as their currency. This bunch of 19 is called the Eurozone, and they're all struggling. The first big fall came in July. The euro hit parity with the dollar, meaning 1 euro was equal to $1. This happened for the first time in 20 years. For perspective, last July, 1 euro was $1.2. So last month, it hit parity, and now the euro has sunk further. Today, it is cheaper than the US dollar. And this is a sign of economic distress. Why is the euro losing its value? Because European economies are struggling. They're facing 3 major challenges. Number 1, the energy crisis. Number 2, the high inflation. And number 3, political turmoil in some of their biggest economies. Europe was already fragile after the pandemic. These 3 problems have exacerbated the situation. First, the energy crisis. It could single-handedly ruin Europe's economic future. This is how it began. Russia invaded Ukraine. Europe sided with Ukraine. It backed sanctions against Russia. Russia struck back and disrupted gas supplies, and now Europe is suffering. Yes, the invasion of Ukraine has no moral justification, but Europe dug itself into a hole by sanctioning Russia without a backup for energy supplies. They pay a hefty price for this. Experts are already counting the losses. I have some numbers for you. Supplies to 12 EU member states have been hit. They've either completely lost access to Russian gas or they're getting only partial supply. So only 12 countries directly hit, but all of Europe will feel the impact. And it will not be a pretty picture. Consider an assessment by the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. It says 3 countries will be very badly hit: Hungary, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic. A complete end of Russian gas supplies will be a big blow to their economies. They could shrink by as much as 6%. But the worst hit will be Germany. It is the largest economy in Europe. It gets almost half of its gas supplies from Russia. If Moscow cuts off this supply completely, Berlin stands to lose a whopping $225 billion in the next 2 years. Let me repeat that, $225 billion in losses. That's what Germany faces. Yesterday, we told you how crucial their economy is to Europe. It is their growth engine. And now it's stalled. It's only a matter of time before the rest of this continent feels the impact. What's making things worse is the skyrocketing inflation. It's at a 25-year high. Inflation in Europe touched almost 10% last month. And the Eurozone is not insulated by the rising cost of living. Inflation in the 19 countries that use the euro as their currency touched almost 9%. This is the average. The numbers look pretty bad for some countries individually, like Estonia. Their inflation has crossed 23%. Latvia, over 21%. Lithuania, almost 21%. From energy to food, everything is expensive in Europe these days. Again, the numbers are scary. Energy bills in Europe have shot up by almost 40%. Food, alcohol, and tobacco, about 10%. Industrial goods, 4.5%. Services sector, 3.7%. So there is runaway inflation. And more often than not, this leads to a political shakeup. Leaders lose their jobs when prices become so high and remain high over a long period of time. The first casualty is Italy. The government of Mario Draghi has crumbled. The trigger was an economic relief package. It was aimed at addressing the rising cost of living in the country, in Italy. In the month of May, inflation touched almost 7%. It's a 36-year high. Prime Minister Mario Draghi was trying to address it, but one of his coalition partners backed out. They said Draghi's support package did not go far enough. So the allies pulled support. The government collapsed. Italy will hold an election next month. Investors are already worried about the outcome. Italy, is the third largest economy in the European Union. So political instability is a must. Political stability, rather, is a must to address inflationary pressures and to revive Europe's economy as a whole. If Italy flounders, the rest of the Eurozone will struggle too. Investors are losing faith, it seems. In the month of July, they dumped Italian government bonds. Italy is already being seen as a basket case. Then we have the United Kingdom, technically not part of the European Union anymore, but a major European economy nonetheless. The UK too is struggling. As the Conservatives look for a new prime minister, inflation is biting the people. A major US bank has made a dire prediction. It says inflation in the UK is on track to cross 18%. This would be the UK's worst inflation in almost 50 years. The Bank of England blames the energy crisis for all of this. It is officially predicting a recession.
Now, this rise in energy prices has exacerbated the fall in real incomes and so led to another significant deterioration in the outlook for activity in the UK and in the rest of Europe. GDP growth in the UK has slowed and the economy is now forecast to enter recession later this year.
For just $67, you can make as many videos as you want, and you never need to pick up a camera or use any fancy editing software. With Doodly,
this has unsettled many workers in the UK. Earlier this week, thousands of dock workers announced a strike.
So you see the play, okay, when Russia, so-called invaded Ukraine, they enabled to at least to have a scapegoat, all right, to blame, crashing, these EU, economies, okay, on Russia not supplying, the natural gas to these EU nations, okay, which at the end of the day, all right, the elites on a new global, economy. All right, and we can see that they're hacking away, at these EU nations first. Now these others, especially these undeveloped nations, they're going to be affected, all right, drastically as well. Okay, but they're already in harsh conditions. Okay, but then what you see them doing is hitting these major markets, man. Okay, because these different EU nations make up a major part of the global, all right, economy, okay? And they're going to work their way over here to America, all right? So let's get a few of these precepts, all right? This is the brother, the hopeful elect 3, 7, 9, 1, and 10. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day. And see, the scriptures speak about in that day, it's speaking about a specific time period. Okay, and we're in that time period of these particular things happening. All right, and it says, and it shall come to pass in that day, said the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shah, that there shall be the noise, all right, of a cry from the fish gate, And the fish gate in the ancient world represent the what? The markets. Okay? So we're seeing a cry in the marketplaces, man. Okay? This modern economy. It says, in the howling from the second, and a great crushing, all right, and a great crashing from the hills. And hills can represent what? Governments, smaller governments. Okay? We're seeing these things crashing, man. All right? And Esau, these elites, they want this to happen so people can beg. Okay? So people can beg for a solution. Because people are just going to want normalcy, man. All right? People are going to want some form of normalcy because it's going to get real inconvenient real quick. Okay? And this is what we're watching happening in the global markets. Okay? So I'm going to let some more of it play. All right? And now she's going to move to the workers. Okay? What the workers are doing, how they're impacted.
They're protesting for the first time in 30 years. They say they're unable to make ends meet. They want salary hikes immediately.
It's nothing to do with a national strategy or anything like that. It's something which has happened here at a local level, and it reflects what's happening elsewhere, because people all over the country, I think, are feeling the same way. That's why it appears to be, perhaps it appears to be coordinated, because people everywhere are feeling the same way and coming to the same conclusion. Enough is enough. We are not going to take this anymore.
And these workers are not alone. Transport staff, postal employees, garbage collectors, even some lawyers, they've all announced walk-offs. This is the picture of the UK. So as Ukraine completes 6 months of war, the devastation, like I said, is being felt way beyond its borders. Europe's economy is bleeding, and the whole world is bracing for impact. So that's a lot of bad news in the West. What about the home front? How is the Indian economy performing? To be honest, it is surprisingly resilient, almost like a bright spot in the world right now. First, let's look at some numbers. India's consumer inflation was 6.7% in July. The month before, it was 7%. So inflation appears to be cooling down in India. In fact, the Reserve Bank of India says it may have peaked in the month of April. And if so, the worst is behind us. The next economic indicator is growth. The IMF's GDP projection for India is 7.4%. That's much higher than most developing economies. China is just 3.3%. The final indicator is manufacturing output, your factories and workshops. Now, we use something called the PMI to measure manufacturing output. PMI stands for Purchasing Managers' Index. In June, India's PMI was 53.9. In July, it rose to 56.4. That's the quickest pace in almost 8 months. So India's factories are slowly getting back to speed. Compare this to the situation elsewhere. Europe is staring at a power crisis. In the US, inflation is at a multi-decade high. Japan's economy is so bad, they're asking young people to buy and drink alcohol. So how exactly did India escape the worst of it? You could say it's a mix of policy and luck. Let's focus on inflation first. Prices rise when there is too much cash in the economy. It's simple economics. If everyone has money, then money has less value. That's how it works. And during the pandemic, that's exactly what happened. Every country announced stimulus packages. This included cash handouts, subsidies, taxes. The idea was to put more money in people's pockets. And I have those numbers for you. America's total stimulus was almost $5.5 trillion. 5.5 trillion. 27% of their GDP. The UK spent 18% of their GDP on stimulus. Australia, almost 20%. Canada, again 20%. Japan, a mind-boggling 53%. And the European Union, 11%. Put together, the G7 spent a fortune on fiscal stimulus, nearly $8 trillion. Now, don't get me wrong. Many people needed that money to survive the pandemic. It is also good politics. Hand out checks to people in trouble. But good politics is often bad economics. Take the United States, for instance. They put $1 trillion directly into bank accounts. $1 trillion. That sort of cash infusion is bound to have consequences, and it did. US inflation topped 9% in June this year. What about India's fiscal stimulus? The government of India announced 2 separate packages. Put together, they clocked $300 billion. That's around 3.5% of India's GDP. Was that enough?
Yeah, so, people was, so excited, about those checks. All right. But they wasn't doing that for the sake, okay, of helping the masses. All right. They had an agenda about sending those stimulus checks, man. Okay. They're deconstructing, okay, the global economy. All right. They're prepping for a great reset. And they keep telling you, man, they have the World Economic Forum constantly telling the masses the same thing, that this is, all right, going to be a great reset. Now, if a brother can post Sirach 14:7, okay, I believe it's Sirach 14:7. And like the brother has here in Job, it's your brother Yaqub. All right, the brother Hopeful Elect 3, it says Job 20:22. It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Yeah, because Esau wants to transition, okay, to his NWO as peaceful as possible. He wants to try to do it, with least resistance as possible. Okay. But as he's been exposed, all right, and people, all right, are pretty much, on to his game. A lot of people are on to his game, especially the working class, which is being attacked the most. Okay, the middle class. All right, so every hand of the wicked, and you go into that word wicked in the Hebrew, one of the definitions is laborer. Okay, so that working class, especially that middle class, is rising up against this man, as he attempts to transition, all right, into his new global economy, man. All right, because they're feeling it the worst. Okay. Just a brother. All right, this is brother Azaral Yahweh. All right, it's Ecclesiasticus, okay, or the book of Sirach, chapter 14, verse 7. And it says, and if he do it good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he would declare his wickedness. Okay, Esau wasn't passing out money for you people to be in good condition, man. Okay, that was a scheme, okay, to cripple the economy, to decrease the value of the dollar, which decreases the value of the global currencies around the world, man. Okay, Esau has a wicked agenda that he's running within the earth, man. All right, this man is not a humanitarian, man. Okay, he does not care about the masses. He doesn't care about public health, man. Okay, it's all a sham. All right, so I'm gonna let some more of it play.
At the time, perhaps not. But instead of fat checks, India focused on supporting the economy, on food subsidies, on liquidity, and on growth incentives. 2 years later, it has worked in India's favor. Call it luck or foresight. The fact is, India's inflation is cooling off compared to the rest of the world. Another reason is the energy policy. After Russia invaded Ukraine, most Western countries stopped buying Russian oil. As a result, oil prices shot up. They reached $120 per barrel. Now, oil is like the remote control for inflation. If oil rises, everything becomes more expensive. So what did India do? Bought Russian oil at discount. Russia at $30 less per barrel. That's 2,400 rupees per barrel. India's inflation is cooling off compared to the rest of the world. Another reason is the energy policy. After Russia invaded Ukraine, most Western countries stopped buying Russian oil. As a result, oil prices shot up. They reached $120 per barrel. Now, oil is like the remote control for inflation. If oil rises, everything becomes more
All right, I want to pause it there, okay? Because as we see, all right, with this whole war in Ukraine, you have a lot of Western nations, siding with Ukraine, which that's one of the main reasons they're being crippled, okay? Because if you side with Ukraine, that means you're anti-Russian. And if you're anti-Russian, Russia is cutting you off on supplies, on resources. But India is becoming pro-Russian. And we have to remember, India, these are still what? Elamites. Okay? We speak about Iran and Russia, alliance, but India, those are Elamites as well. Okay? So the prophecy of Gog and Magog being a guard, you know, into their region of the earth, you know, India is part of that as well, man. Okay. We know military mainly is speaking of, Iran. Okay. But India is going to be a heavy hitter in this war as well because India is has nuclear capability. Okay. And they have a pretty decent military as well. Okay. It's a huge country, a huge population. Okay. So we're seeing, as you see on the screen, with Putin and the prime minister or president of India, okay, making deals, man. Okay. So the kings of the east are being prepared. Okay, that the scriptures speak of, man. All right. So this is a heavy alliance, economically and militarily, man. Okay, it's very strategic. Where India is at. It's a large land mass, so it will enable Russia to mobilize a lot of equipment. India, was already in talks of buying arms for Russia. Okay, so this is a heavy move, militarily as well. I just peeped there. I'm looking at this alliance, and I say, okay, I see what it is. So, um, matter of fact, let's get that brother can get Jeremiah real quick. Let's get Jeremiah. Let's get Jeremiah 50 and 9. Let's get that Jeremiah 50 and 9. Prophecy is steady coming together, man. And all we can do is just, be more disciplined, be more locked in if these things happen, be more obedient, you see, make adjustments, to be better because prophecy is happening, man. Things are coming together, okay? Don't let, week one of college football fool you, okay? Nothing wrong with watching it, being to a game, but don't let that be the end all be all right? Now, this is from the brother, okay, Azarah Yahweh, Jeremiah 50 and 9 said, "For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, which is America, an assembly of great nations." And India is a great nation, man. Okay. It says from the north country, beginning with Russia, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain. Okay. So we're seeing that these nations are being assembled, okay, unto Russia, man, to come against the West. And eventually even those other EU nations are going to turn, okay, on America, okay, because it's America and NATO that provoked Russia to invade Ukraine to stop that military buildup that America and NATO was doing in Ukraine. Okay, Russia invaded Ukraine, all right, to stop America and NATO for arming, okay, Ukraine and placing, military hardware in Ukraine, man. okay, which is on the border of Russia. Germany had nothing to do with that. French and Britain, okay, Ireland, they Italy. It was America and NATO that caused that. But see, these EU nations are feeling the pain because going to those pack of NATO, that you have to side with NATO nations in conflict, but it's affecting their economy. It's destroying their economy by siding with America in this whole anti-Russia campaign, man. You see? And that's why scriptures say what? The adventures of 10 horns gonna hate the whore. A brother can post that, in Revelations. Okay. I'm gonna let this play some more while brother posted in Revelation. The 17th chapter, verses 16, 17, Bible shot.
More expensive. So what did India do? It bought Russian oil at a discount. Reports say Russia was selling at $30 less per barrel. That's 2,400 rupees per barrel less. That's the discount. And those discounts certainly helped India. Compared to the West, this was a much better situation to be in because the West looked clueless. The US may produce oil, but their energy companies scooped up massive profits and the common man was left high and dry. In Europe, gas was the issue, not oil. Energy bills increased rapidly as Russian gas slowed down. What about China? Well, they too imported discounted Russian oil, but their economy was clipped by zero COVID lockdowns. What's the use of oil if your factories are shut anyway? India steered clear of all of that. Yes, the lockdowns were painful, but they were also short. India never obsessed itself with policies like zero COVID. The focus was on both life and livelihood. And I know it all sounds very good, and that's something to cheer about, certainly, as the world braces for a recession. But I must say here that India is not out of the woods yet. Multiple factors can still derail the economy. Number one, the global economic situation. If the US or Europe falls into recession, India will feel the blowback. Trade will slow down. The rupee will fall. Western companies could downsize Indian operations. You get the picture. In this globalized world, a recession is also exported. Factor number two is inflation. India's numbers are much better than the rest of the world, but they're still too high for comfort. The RBI's optimum inflation level is 4%. The actual figure is 6.7%. So keeping prices under check will be a major priority. Factor number three, jobs. A large population means a large job market. India must create 90 million jobs by 2030. If not, there will be jobless growth. Meaning your GDP will keep rising, but people will not have meaningful jobs. And that's a big risk for India. To navigate this crisis, India must leverage its current position. Every major economy is slowing down, so India must offer itself as the alternative for investments, for manufacturing, and for services. One example is the recent decision by Apple. The company has decided to manufacture their latest iPhone in India, the iPhone 14. The first batches will be produced by late October or November. Now, the launch is still happening out of China, but it shows that the gap is reducing. India could very well displace China as the world's iPhone maker. That's a good start. That means a lot of jobs, a lot of investments, and a lot of taxes. And that's the key to any growth story. Being the bright spot is not enough.
So I thought that was interesting that now Apple, starting to use India, to manufacture the iPhone. Okay. For you iPhone lovers. All right, but it shows you that, America and China, all right, are pretty much, economically separated. Now there's still everything is still attached to the global economy. I said there's no isolated, economy. All right, in this global economy, everything is still linked. Okay, but I just see it interesting that Apple is going to India. So We'll see how we're just watching these things play out, okay? Because Esau just looked at these, these nations, all right, these Eastern nations, as nothing but big sweatshops, because America has so many union laws and, different things that, make it hard for them to really uh, put those, to make the max profit that they want to make. So they go to these, underdeveloped countries, give them these big loans, buy the government out, okay, and pretty much use the nation as like a big sweatshop, man, to where they can maximize on profit because they don't have to deal with the child labor laws, the union where you can only work so many hours and vacation time. No, and all that ain't happening, in China and India. Okay. So we're seeing India being used more for manufacturing, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be short-lived. Okay. And that's why I'm gonna read this and then we'll get Revelation 18 in a minute. All right. And but the EU nations is catching the worst of it. This is Revelation 17 and 16 from the brother GMS Prayer Always, hopeful elect. It says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore." And these are the core EU nations, man. Okay, and the whore is America, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, and there's nuclear destruction. Okay. In the end game, EU is gonna, all right, join the onslaught of nations. Okay, going to join the assembly of nations that's going to destroy America with ICBM missiles, man. Okay, and we've seen the build up to it. It says, "For the Most High have put it in their hearts to fulfill His will and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled." So the Most High set this whole EU, okay, this whole European Economic Community, EEC, okay, going back to the Treaty of Rome in 1953. All right, where you had these EU nations along with America joined together on the common market, and pretty much these nations, okay, allowed their economies to be attached to this beast system, and that's why they're subjugated to the sanctions, of America, man. Because with America having the world reserve currency, all right, they can weaponize their currency, all right, with sanctions, man. Okay, or they can weaponize sections of the market, not allow you to trade and or put tariffs on you for making for exporting things to America. So pretty much the world has been subjugated, okay, to this beast system with America at the head, man. Okay, but the will of the Most High had to be fulfilled, which would lead to these nations being angry, all right, hating the whore and burning her with fire, man.
It's about how you build on that resilience. So the next couple of years will be key for the Indian economy. And since we're discussing economies, how can we not talk about China, the world's second largest economy? How are they faring? They're plunged into darkness, quite literally. Let me show you some pictures from Shanghai.
Can Americans with no degree really get $6,495 from this education program? Well, look, the answer is yes. So this controversial education program is actually giving the
This is the Shanghai skyline, a symbol of a developed China. It has to lights. China is facing a power crunch, so much so that officials have issued orders to ration power supply. And they're going to great lengths to save electricity. I have some more photographs for you. This is an office in China's Sichuan province. It looks like a sweatshop. Only the computers are running here. The employees are working without any lights, air conditioners, or even fans. I wonder if there's a ban on charging their mobile phones too. Giant blocks of ice have replaced air conditioners in this office. Again, this is from China's Sichuan. Last week, this province ordered power cuts for just 6 days. Now that order has extended to 10 days. So perhaps offices in Sichuan will need more ice because they're not getting any electricity. China is facing its longest and most drought in a long time. 66 rivers in 34 provinces have dried up. Rainfall is down by 6%. And remember, China depends heavily on hydropower for its electricity. 90% of China's power supply needs extensive resources. So when there's no water, no electricity. China is famous for the Leon Buddha statue. This UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2020, the river witnessed a flood. There was so much water, it reached those of the statue. Now look at this. This is what it looks like. The river banks near the statue have completely dried up. Five million people are by the drought and power cuts in China, and there's no short-term relief in sight. These natural disasters are hitting the Chinese economy, and their impact is expected to be as bad, if not worse, than the Wuhan virus pandemic. There's a sharp rise in factory shutdowns in China. Last week, 39 factories were closed. The week before that, almost 20 factories had to close their operations. So the numbers have more than doubled. And we don't know if the shutdown is temporary or permanent. Either way, these disruptions will hit the Chinese economy hard. The property crisis has already pushed China towards a recession. Everyone is feeling the impact. Here's a headline that's been doing the rounds. The rich are selling their Rolex watches, and also on sale are luxury bags from Hermes. China has a major market for second-hand luxury goods. Suddenly, it is witnessing a lot of activity. The rich and wealthy are going to the sellers in droves. There is excess supply. The sellers have been forced to cut prices. It's simple economics. Supply is more than demand, so lower prices. So if you're into luxury goods, you could say that this is a silver lining in the dark cloud that is the Chinese economy. But here's a question. Why are the rich selling their luxury goods? Why are they selling their Rolex watches and their bags? To raise quick cash. That's according to one report. And it makes sense. In an unstable economy, cash is king. If the rich are struggling in China, you can only imagine what the middle class is going through. Beijing may not have formally declared a recession. Perhaps it never will. But the people of China say they already feel it.
So you see Moab, all right, catching hell where you have the rich, selling possessions, to try to round up cash, man, because it's getting scarce around them, man. And see, the scriptures speak about particular things dealing with Moab. Now, if a brother can post Jeremiah 48 and 11, 48, 11, we put verse 12, 13, 14, and 15. And then we can get that in. I'll read this in 2nd Esdras 15. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 46. It says, "And thou, Asia, that art partake of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person, woe be unto thee, thou rich, because thou hast made thyself like unto her." Now, what we have to understand, what we have to understand is that for the longest, you know, those Moabites, you know, they had different dynasties, and you know, Moab was known for having different resources, mainly their silk, and you know, they had different trade routes, you know, through Asia, you know, and those Moabites, you know, had some pretty rich dynasties. Okay, but then as Esau came back into power, okay, during the Renaissance and started modernizing different things and taking over different trade routes and becoming wealthy. Okay, Moab started falling off; they couldn't keep up. Okay, but then you had in the I want to say in the 80s. Okay, and I think it was under Reagan where Moab, became part of the modern markets. They left them traditional ways and became part of the modern markets, and that's why China has been able, to become all right, rich, all right, become a rich country, all right, a rich nation in this time, you know, because they pretty much, joined these modern markets, with this beast system, and they have made themselves like unto, all right, Babylon, okay, from culture to economics, okay, to this whole AI and this new world order mindset. China is one of the main nations that's on the front line, okay, of AI, all right, digital currency, okay. So the scriptures, all right, goes into that. And it says, "And thou, Asia, thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please the glory, all right, that they may please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore, said the Most High, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence to waste thy houses, okay, with destruction and death." So the scriptures speak about poverty coming to their region of the earth, famine coming to their region of the earth, man. Okay. And when you go into Jeremiah, it speaks on Moab. All right. When you go Jeremiah 48 and 11, it says Moab have been at ease from his youth. And ever since, because pretty much China has become pretty proud, man, because what? They waxed rich, you know, through deals with who? The whore, America. All right. And he have settled on his lees and have not been emptied from vessel to vessel, neither had he gone into captivity. Therefore, his taste, all right, remain in him, and his scent, all right, is not changed. All right. It says, "Therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that I will send unto him wanderers." Okay. And you know who that main wonder is? Esau Edom. That shall cause him to wander, okay, wandering after the beast, and shall empty his vessels and break their bottles. And see what's happening. The West is exploiting China, okay, a big workforce. China has a major workforce, due to its big population. And pretty much these Western nations, okay, they capitalize, all right, and they pretty much are extorting China, for its major workforce. See, the elites, you have a lot of billionaires, all right, in China, a little Moabite billionaires, okay, but the rest of the nation is nothing but a big workshop, man, okay. Now I jump to verse 15, get to the point. It says, "Moab is spoiled and gone up out of her cities, and his chosen young men are gone down to the slaughter, as they are finna prepare for war, said the king, whose name is the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai." Okay, so Moab is done. Okay, he's prophesied to get jacked up in these end times too. Okay, and we just watching the build up, man. All right, but these things that we see were all written of, man.
They say every conflict has a turning point, something that escalates a frozen front line or draws more players into it. For Ukraine and Russia, that point is now. The trigger was a car bomb blast near Moscow. We told you about it yesterday. The attack claimed the life of Daria Dugina. She was the daughter of Alexander Dugin. Many call him Putin's spiritual guru, the brain behind his policies. Both father and daughter are right-wing ideologues, according to some, even fascists. Earlier today, a special memorial service was held for Daria in Moscow. Her father addressed the service. He said Daria had died for her country.
If someone was touched by her tragic death, her personality and her integrity, she would have only one wish. Do not remember me. Do not glorify me. Fight for our great country. Protect our faith and our holy orthodoxy. Love our Russian people, because she died for the people. She died for Russia on the front line, and that front line is here.
The service is over, but the controversy is not. Russia is accusing Ukraine of plotting this attack. They have even identified the suspect, 43-year-old Natalia Vovk. She is said to have arrived in Russia on the 23rd of July. Accompanying her was her 12-year-old child. She rented an apartment in the same building as Daria Dugina. She also managed to plant an explosive device on her car. So where is she now? According to Russia, Natalia fled to Estonia. Now remember, this is Russia's version of events. Ukraine has firmly denied any involvement. And honestly, it's too early to draw conclusions. The attack happened on Saturday. The case was cracked by Monday. That's simply not enough time to solve such a complicated case. On paper, Ukraine has the motive to carry out this attack. After all, they are on the counteroffensive. But strategically, this attack, this car bomb, makes absolutely no sense. Ukraine gains nothing by taking out Daria Dugina. So the blast itself will have to be investigated further. As for the politics, things have all
Yeah, so I'm gonna fast forward to something else. They're speaking about, supposedly the daughter of one of, Putin's, religious leaders, was assassinated, in a car bombing and blamed on Ukraine. So, there's more, war soap opera, but I'm gonna go on to the next phase of the news.
looking back at the last 6 months, both sides seem to be preparing for another 6.
Staying in the United States after your student visa or your OPT expires is difficult, and H-1B does not have to be your only pathway to a green card.
6 months of fighting. And this week will also be crucial for millions of young people in the US. Their president is weighing an important decision. What should be done with student?
Now, I want y'all to hear this to see how, how corrupt the American money system is. Okay, she's gonna go into student debt, and they're gonna make some great points. See, America is so rich, no one in America should be in debt. There should be all type of systems, all right, to create wealth in America. This is a real unrighteous, wicked rulership here in America, but Esau's able to spoil, everyone with this general convenience, okay, and all this, accessible entertainment and, fulfilling your lust, at the push of a button, okay, that you're not concerned with how off this system is, man. Okay, she's gonna get into it.
Debt. If you're in the US, you know what I'm talking about. Student debt has become a burden on America's youth. How much money are we talking about? $1.6 trillion almost. That's America's outstanding student debt. Almost 40% of all Americans have taken loans to study. They spent years trying to repay it. You may have seen Hollywood plots revolve around it. Workers in their 30s still paying off loans or mortgaging their house to make the deadline. All of this happens in the US for real. But since the pandemic struck, they've got some relief. In March 2020, the US paused most student loans. The idea was to ease the pressure on workers. And since then, Joe Biden has extended it 4 times. The next extension is due on August 31st, end of this month. Biden could be beyond pausing the student debt this time. He may actually forgive it. Reports say White House officials are inclined to cancel student debt. They've set some conditions. A, only up to $10,000 will be canceled. The rest will have to be paid. And B, the borrower must be earning less than $1,500 per year. If you meet these conditions, your student loan could be canceled in the US. You may not have to pay it anymore. And I know it sounds like an easy fix. If the government can spend trillions on weapons, surely it can spend money on education. Well, not necessarily. Forgiving student loans is a political lightning rod in the US. The Republicans oppose it completely. They say students must earn their success. And they compare loan forgiveness to handouts. Democrats are on the other end. They're demanding a much bigger package. They want Biden to forgive loans up to $50,000, not $10,000. The ideal policy, I say, is somewhere in between. Why is that? Because loan forgiveness is a one-time fix. It does not help the next set of borrowers. Neither does it help people who have already repaid their loans. A much better solution is cheaper debt, which brings us to the root cause of this crisis: expensive colleges. The US is one of the most expensive places to study. I have a list for you. The average tuition cost in the US is $8,200 per year. In Australia, it is $4,700. Austria, $900. Canada, $5,000. Denmark, Estonia, Finland, and Germany, $0.
So as you can see on the screen, America charges the most for education. And then when you look at, all right, the average American, they're dumb as hell, okay? But they charge you the most for education per year. And you have countries, Germany, Finland, Estonia, Denmark, that they don't pay nothing, you know, for education, okay? America is corrupt as hell, man. You're paying the most, but you're getting the less, and you're pretty much being brainwashed for what? The New World Order. Okay? This is what you people stand up, you know, you make a big uproar if someone doesn't stand for the, you know, the Pledge of Allegiance, the national anthem. Okay? Well, look at look at what your nation is doing for you, man. The greatest nation on earth, right? Okay? And she's going to explain why. Okay?
Public colleges do not charge any money in these countries. If they can do it, why not the US? Why is the richest country in the world saddled with student debt? Because of 3 major reasons, and all 3 boil down to how US colleges function. Reason number 1 is the obsession with sports. Colleges are the first step to America's favorite pastime, professional sport. Whether it's baseball, football, basketball, all these sports are part of colleges in the US. Players start off in college, they get noticed by scouts, and then they get offers from professional teams, which means a lot of infrastructure and investments. Even elite US universities are obsessed with sport. If a team becomes successful, there's a lot of money to be made. I'm talking about sponsorships, ticket sales, merchandise. So colleges pump millions into developing state-of-the-art infrastructure. Reason number 2 is the emphasis on sprawling campuses. This includes massive dormitories, dining halls that beat restaurants, and so-called relaxing facilities. I'll give you an example. In 2018, a new trend emerged around US colleges. They began building lazy rivers. It's basically a mini water park near the college pools. Yes, the kids enjoyed it, but they probably won't enjoy the loans that paid for it. And finally, reason number 3, and probably the most important one, is lack of state funding. Colleges kept adding more facilities and luxuries on campus. At the same time, government subsidies kept disappearing. Again, I'll give you an example. In California, the state spends $1 billion more on prisons than colleges. So the tuition fees inevitably go up, and along with it, student debt. How can the US solve this crisis? Forgiving the current debt may sound attractive. It will also help millions of struggling Americans, but it is not a long-term solution. For that, the US needs a systemic reboot. The government must realize that education is not a luxury, it is a right. That's for all governments all over the world. It's not about water parks and sprawling dining halls. It's about giving everybody the opportunity to learn. And don't forget, we're talking about the United States of America. If they can fund endless wars in West Asia, they can surely teach children for free.
We all feel safe.
But then again, we don't live in the most ideal world. Here, more often than not, things don't happen according to our life.
So yeah, man. Okay, and it shows you the oppression, all right, of this society. Okay, there's a lot of things in America. America could be, a much better, all right, system, but it was meant to be Babylon the Great. It was meant to be a place of oppression. It was meant to be a wicked rulership. It wasn't meant for us to be comfortable here. So these things, all right, have to be like they are. Okay, just putting out the facts that is a great misconception, as if people in America are getting the best deal. This is the best government. This is the land of the free. This is liberty. You even had over there in Libya, okay, when Gaddafi, was the president, where when you would graduate college, and get a house, start a family, you get $50,000, man, to start your life off with, man. So if Libya could do that, America could for damn sure do that. Okay, but this place is ran off debt because you got that. Let's get that in. Let's see. I think that's in Proverbs. And this is Esau's pretty much how he runs his banking system. Yeah, if we can get Proverbs 22:7. Get this. I'll start here. All right, now this is from the brother Azarral Yahawada, Sirach 21:8. It says, "He that buildeth, okay, his house with other men's money is like one that gathereth himself stones for the tomb of his burial." And that's why they even call, your house note what a mortgage. Okay, which mortgage means death. Okay, because a lot of people pay on these houses until they bury them. And it's a burden unto them because your mortgage a lot of times is 40 to 50%, of your income. Anywhere from 25, 30, 40, 50% of your income, man. Okay. And that's a heavy burden, on the masses of people is these mortgages, man. Okay. Student loan debt, all these different, systems of debt, okay, within this society, man. Okay. Because at the end of the day, the Most High created where people could be self-sufficient. Food comes from the earth. Okay, houses that come from the earth, man. But see, the knowledge of how to work the earth and how to work the land, was pretty much destroyed during the industrial, revolution. People have pretty much got spoiled by the cities where everything is laid out for them. Okay, the apartment, the high-rise apartment lifestyle. Okay, it's convenient. You free time, you can chill, happy hour, mimosas. In the morning. Okay, daiquiris in the evening. You see, people have gotten used, to living, as if they were nobles. All right, but now it's finna really show in these times. Okay, that's why what the scripture referred to America is what living carelessly without care. Okay, as Proverbs 22:7 said, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Okay, so these elites know that as long as they can keep the masses in debt, that they are in servitude. Okay, because you're a servant to your lender. We're a servant to these bills. Okay, if we didn't have all these bills, okay, we wouldn't try to go get the best education, try to get the highest paying jobs. Okay, if we weren't subjugated to these bills, man, if we had true ownership, true inheritance, okay, we'll be doing our own thing. Okay, but since we have bills, because you pretty much live to pay bills, we live to pay bills. Okay, 70% or more of our income goes to bills. Okay, different, each situation is different, man. But for the most part, the majority of your income goes to bills, man. Because why? It keeps you a servant to the lender. Okay. Now you have this, now that she's going to go into weather. All right.
Liking or expectations or even logic. Hungary's weather service chief will be able to back me up here. She was fired from her job because a rainstorm that was predicted changed course. You heard that right. Hungary has fired its top leaders at the weather service over a faulty forecast. How often does that happen? This has led to a political storm. Here's a report.
When a train derails, you fire the driver. When a building collapses, you fire the contractor. When a fish die in a river, you fire the climate chief. But who do you fire when it does not rain? The weather gods or the weather experts? Hungary recently fired a bunch of them. Want to know why? Well, on Saturday, the 20th of August, Hungary was marking St. Stephen's Day. It was a national holiday. The country wanted to celebrate with some fireworks. A big-ticket event was planned and promoted as Europe's biggest fireworks display. This was Hungary's chance to make a mark in the sky. Some 40,000 fireworks were ready to be taken to the top, burst into flames, and immortalized into numerous photos and selfies. 240 launch locations were marked along the Danube River. This was Budapest's big day. 2 million people were waiting with bated breath and sparkles in their eyes. But, yes, there is a but, the fireworks never took off. No, they were not damp. It was the weather that decided to play a damp squib. Just hours before the event came a warning. A rainstorm was on its way. The message was sent straight from the office of the weatherman. Dismissing it was not an option, so the government postponed the firework display, and the good citizens of Hungary decided to stay home. They stared out of their tightly shut windows, waiting for extreme weather to reign over what was supposedly going to be Europe's biggest fireworks display. An hour.
Watch this. I can show you how to get the sweetest deals online when you shop from major retailers like Amazon and Target. You can drop prices automatically. I can show you how, but
An hour passed, and 6 more. The fireworks did not go up, and no rain came pouring down. Was it a cruel joke the weatherman had decided to play? Was it fate? Or did the storm, the weather gods, sway? Turns out it was the sneaky rainstorm that decided to change its way. Instead of Budapest, it went to another part of Hungary. And you know what they say about millennials and meteorological services? You can never tell. They tried. A Facebook apology was posted. Oops, it didn't rain. We are sorry. It happens. Hungary was hungry for revenge. The government fired the leaders in the Met Office, including Weather Services Chief Cornelia Radix. She had been in office since 2013. Never had she imagined that a fickle-minded storm would one day reign over her career plans. Neither did her deputy, Goila Horvath. But one cancelled firework, and the two are fired. Some people in the country are fuming. They say the climate is becoming extremely communist. Courtesy Prime Minister Viktor Orban. An independent lawmaker wants the weather department to strike. The opposition wants some drama. Then there are some who want the fireworks cancelled because, hey, there's a war next door, and the country's economy is going up in flames anyway. The poor meteorological service just wants its leaders back. And many just want to see the fireworks. But that's not happening until the weekend. You know, provided the weather gods don't shower their blessings on Hungary again, we will be looking up at the skies, holding an umbrella, of course. Bureau Report, we on World is...
And see, they can't predict it. Pretty much the weather is getting more unpredictable. Okay. Through. All right. Cancel everything and the storm didn't come. And see, that's how you know our scripts say, hey, it's gonna be like a thief in the night. Okay. Or had planned that big event, you know, had the fireworks ready. And they predicted a storm and it didn't come. It shifted on them, man. And there's a lot of things that's going to happen that these devils not going to be able to predict, man. These people not going to be able to predict. If a brother can put Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, all right, verses 13 through 16. Okay. Oh. Yep. I think that'll be it. You know, that'll be it for that video. You know, but just showing you globally, you know, things that's going on. All right, the economy. All right, people are you know, especially as a winter, they're predicting a very dark winter. Okay, in in the EU. Okay, people hurt. You know, and they say the Most High is cranking it up a notch to where these devils, all right, are not going to be able to keep up with prophecy, man. Okay, just like during the time of Moses, when you know the Pharaoh's magicians was able to mimic, you know, what Moses was doing. Okay, oh, so like then it came to a point where they couldn't mimic it. Okay, so we're coming to the point where there's going to be things happening that these devils can't predict or mimic, you know, or alter. Okay, you're seeing it happening now. This is the brother GMS, pray always, hope for elect. Wisdom of Solomon 9 and 13 said, for what man is he, all right, that can know the counsel of the Most High, or who can think what the will of the Lord is? Yeah, because, you know, you can have weather predictions, you know, sometimes they're, you know, accurate, okay, Well, it's not 100%. It's not a guarantee because we don't know what the will of the Lord is when it comes to particular things. All right, such as the weather. Okay, what He wants to do. You know, this is all according to His will. Okay, He is. All right. So hey, you can predict things. You can, you can make speculations, but ultimately, it's the will of the Lord that's going to remain supreme. He said, "For the thoughts of more than man are miserable, and our devices are but uncertain." And our devices but are uncertain. Yeah, so the meteorologists, okay, the economists, all those things are uncertain. You know, we watch these things to get a feel for what's going on. But see, with Most High, He can turn this thing up to a whole nother level like that. Okay, He can make things move fast, slow. He can extend things. Okay, He can shorten things. He can do however He want to do. You know, so you can have, different, like these farmers, they have almanacs, okay, dealing with weather patterns. All right, you have, like I said, these different economists, but at the end of the day, the Most High is going to do what He's want to do in His time. Okay, and it says, Wisdom of Solomon 9:15 said, "For the corruptible body presses down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weighs down the mind that museth, okay, upon many things." Okay, it says, "And hardly," verse 16, "and hardly do we guess aright at the things that are upon earth." You see, and we seen the example of that. "And with labor do we find the things out before us, but the things that are in heaven, who have searched out." Okay, so we just seen a major miss. Okay, according to the scriptures, man. I mean, with this event, but these things are talked about in the scriptures, man. Okay, but Esau Edom is so proud, as if he really has trust in his technology. Okay, his predictions. He has trust in the left hand side, his witchcraft, and he thinks that he's on the same level of the Most High, man. All right, but a lot of times Esau be guessing. A lot of times Esau be capping on how far he done got with certain things. You know, and we coming to a point. We coming to a point now where things are going to happen that they're not going to be able to explain. Okay, and I end it here. This to brother Yaqua, hopeful lick 3. It says, "Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it rises." And see, the Most High be playing with these devils, man. Nigga got fired. Okay, and this one of them high paying jobs. You don't just get fired from there and go get something else. Like when you get fired from them type of jobs, your name is ruined. You know, there's the Most High, showing you that He's in control, that He is, man. Like it might seem like something small to someone else, man, but if you in the spirit, that's the Most High saying that He is, man. Okay. And it says, "Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it rises, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee, okay, suddenly, which thou shalt not know." Okay, so these devils, all right, are very limited in what they know and what they can do. Okay, the Most High is all knowing, and He has no limitations, man. Okay, and that's why He's getting ready to terrorize the earth, man. And you people are going to be helpless. We pray that we be within the mercy of Yahweh Shema Shai. So that's the point. I just want to bring that out. Lord will, you brothers, okay, you few sisters were, edified. Till next time, I say Shalom. Calling Yasha Allah, Abab, DTA soon, Shalom.